modern day of people working, women are working now more than they used to in the past. Pressures are increasing, and particularly with the recession, people are in fear of losing their jobs, and the expectation is often that people will work a lot of unpaid overtime. All of this causes a detrimental effect on people's home life, their relationships, and even their health. So I want to talk through some things that you can do to try and get the balance right, to make sure that life is worth living and not just enduring. Firstly, when you are coming to think about the balance within your life, sometimes things creep up on you insidiously and you don't realise the amount of extra work that you're doing, that little by little it's got that you're leaving the office later and later, you're working through your lunch breaks, you are working in the evening, you're working on the train going home. Weekends aren't weekends anymore because your BlackBerry's always ringing and you're working answering emails. Even when you go on holiday, you take your work with you. What you need to do is to actually look at your time and how you're allocating your time. A good way of doing this is to think about writing down what you actually want in your life, what is important to you, what things do you value, what things give you fun and pleasure, as well as things to do with work. Not that you can't have fun and pleasure at work, but having things outside of work as well. Some people find it helpful to actually put this in a graphic format by doing a pie chart, and it can be quite a shock when they realise what percentage of time they're actually spending in work-related activities. This can often give you the stimulus to be able to look at what you're doing and say, okay, I need to change some things here. One of the simple ways that you can do this is to actually look at what you're doing in your office. Prioritise, make a list of things that you need to do that day and prioritise the things that are on that list. When you actually come to do a task, allocate a set time for doing that task. Look at what you need to include within the piece of work that you've been asked to do. Get your priorities in first, and then if you've got any time left at the end, you can add your extra bits. But when your time is up that you've allocated, stop there and move on to your next task. This might sound incredibly difficult for people that are perfectionists who want to make sure that every single word and every bit of punctuation is in the right place, but it will help you to manage your time much more effectively. It's also helpful to look at being assertive and being able to say no. If you're already overloaded and you can't cope with any more, to be able to be in that position to say, I'm sorry, I can't manage this right now. And discuss with your manager whether maybe it's something that could be put lower down on the list of priority, or whether your manager would like to allocate that work to somebody else. Looking at what you want from your family life, it's important to look at your health. If you're constantly running on adrenaline, eventually your tanks are going to dry out and you will get to the point where you just can't take anymore, and that's when people have breakdowns and burnout. So it's important to make sure that you have time to look after yourself physically, to eat well, to exercise. Even if you don't go down the gym, just walking, getting off the bus a couple of stops earlier, walking up and down running the stairs rather than taking the lift. All these things can help. It's important to take a lunch break. It's a fact that your brain cannot cope with too much information in the short-term memory. The information you've taken in during the morning, it can't take any more in the afternoon unless it's actually freed up some space and moved some of that information into the long-term memory. So working through lunch can actually be counterproductive because your productivity levels fall off as the afternoon goes on. So taking a 20-minute break away from your desk, getting something to eat, just walking around the block, getting outside the building, getting some fresh air, often will help you to be much more awake and alert, and your levels of work will increase in the afternoon. With your family, it's a good idea to sit down and make a list of what things you want to do together as a family. Some big things as well as some little things, planning holidays, planning outings. Little things like going off and having a picnic and feeding the ducks. Let everybody have their say so that you're doing something that everybody enjoys doing. And put these things on the calendar and actually do them. Because if you just leave them as a list, then it becomes broken promises, which is heartbreaking for children because they just feel that work is taking priority every time. So it's important to actually follow through on any promises that you make. So these are just some ideas of things that you can do to help to get your work-life balance in a good place so that you enjoy your life as a whole.